And now to Somalia, where United States Special Forces have reportedly killed more than 30 Al-Shabaab militants, including senior commanders, during two separate security operations in southern Somalia. This all took place over the past 4 days, with sources saying the operations took place on August 10th and 13th and targeted insurgents in Sakow town in Middle Jubba region. Al-Shabaab leader Abu Ubeida is suspected to have either been killed or captured during the operation. Well, let's bring you more on this. We're now joined by Daniel Reintes, our CCTV correspondent in Washington, and CCTV's Abdulaziz below standing by for us in the Somali capital of Mogadishu. Daniel, let's start with you. Has the United States confirmed that these operations were definitely carried out by U.S. Special Forces?
It's confirmed that U.S. defense personnel who are described as advisors, so essentially they go alongside Somali forces to train them and to assist them. When they were on a counter-terrorism attack on August the 10th, they came under fire, so their security was compromised. So they themselves engaged with the Al-Shabaab militants. And according to the report I was given from AFRICOM, the US Africa Command, 3 militants were confirmed as being killed in that engagement, though they say they are still monitoring what's going on, and they will provide further updates if there's any change to that numbers or any personnel that were believed to be killed. As to the reports of the August 13th attack, they say no US Defense Department personnel were involved in that area. That's not to say that perhaps there were also people from the CIA on the ground. It's a possibility, but at the moment we just don't have enough information to know more about the reports that up to 30 or more Al-Shabaab militants were killed by US Special Forces. There simply is not enough information to confirm.
Well, Abdulaziz, let's turn to you now with regards to information coming out of Somalia. One of the allegations so far is that Al-Shabaab chief Abu Ubeida is among those killed in those operations. What do you know about that? And perhaps just tell us a little bit more about this figure, this so-called leader of Al-Shabaab.
Well, Lindy, this is not one man who went by one name. His Al-Shabaab name is Abu Ubeida, but his official name is Ahmed Umar Diriye. Now, he's not a new figure to the Al-Shabaab. He's been with the militant group ever since its existence. And before he rose to the helm of the leadership of the Al-Shabaab, he held a series of positions within the militant group Al-Shabaab. But he rose to the helm of the Al-Shabaab in 2014 September after a U.S. drone strike targeted the then Al-Shabaab commander Ahmed Abdi Godane in southern Somalia. Now, ever since then, he has become the spiritual leader and the overall leader, also known as the Amir for the Al-Shabaab militant group. Now, ever since he took over the helm of the leadership, he's been trying to show other militants indeed that he is in charge, and we have been able to notice since 2015 until now the series of deadly attacks carried out by the Al-Shabaab on African Union bases, particularly 3 bases in southern Somalia, where scores of African Union soldiers were killed, and he is also responsible for the deadly attacks here in Somalia on key hotels and government institutions. So definitely to the Somali authorities, Abu Ubeida is indeed a very tough leader compared to his predecessor Ahmed Abdi Godane. Now he has a $6 million bounty on his head placed by the U.S. State Department, and authorities here in Somalia were indeed looking for him. So authorities here say that he's a tough leader compared to Ahmed Abdi Godane, who died in 2014. But for now, there's no official comment yet from Somali government whether he was killed or captured in those 2 raids. Alongside the Al-Shabaab military spokesperson Abu Mus'ab is believed to have died in that attack. So for now, we're keeping tabs on the story, and we're waiting for official comment from either the U.S. State Department or the Ministry of Defense here in Mogadishu, Lindy.
Well, it certainly seems rather scant information coming from both the U.S. And Somalia. But back to you, Daniel. We know, of course, that the U.S. has been carrying out operations occasionally in Somalia. Just perhaps contextualize their military strategy in the fight against Al-Shabaab.
Well, there's two major prongs here. The first is conventional US military forces who are not officially fighting on the ground but will defend themselves. They are sort of going alongside the Somali forces to help train them and to assist them in operations. The second thing, of course, is that President Obama, as you well know, has been very reluctant to commit boots on the ground in favour of trying to take out key leaders where he feels international terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab pose a threat to the US and its allies. Then they feel there's a legal justification for them to go, usually using the CIA and therefore off the official sort of publication of information, to target key leaders. So we don't know whether that in this case was the case. But what we do know is that the region as a whole is struggling, continue to struggle with this, absent more conventional forces, because there is only so much the US can do with its current strategy in terms of containment of the Al-Shabaab leadership and assisting the Somalis. So I think there is now a question mark about conventional forces and whether they are adequate to deal with the current threat, which, as IGAD, an international group, today pointed out in a report, seems to be something that is spreading regionally and is a cause for concern.
Right, we'll have to leave it there, but thanks very much to Daniel Rangers live for us there in Washington and Abdulaziz Bilo joining us from Mogadishu.